I started doing pro bono work at my prior law firm, but as soon as we started this law firm with my law partner, Amalia, about 2 years ago, we very quickly started doing pro bono work, both because we were interested in providing free legal services to people who need them, but also it was we started our law firm several months before COVID. And then when COVID hit, there was a large need for additional pro bono legal services, particularly for people who were incarcerated by the civil immigration detention system. And we sort of jumped headfirst into that and have largely focused over the past 2 years on federal litigation. One of the reasons that I became an attorney was to help people who need help, and that can run a broad spectrum, but that obviously includes people who can't afford legal services. So that's one reason that I do it. But I think there are actually a couple other reasons that sort of are particular to me or benefit me, which is one, it allows, again, because most of our pro bono work is federal litigation, that it allows us to do something both me and my law partner are interested in, which is federal practice, which we can't always necessarily do otherwise in our private practice. Sometimes we can, sometimes we cannot. But this really allows us an avenue to do that work. And then I think additionally, it's often an opportunity for us to collaborate with other practitioners. We've been really lucky that on many of our cases that are pro bono, we have multiple co-counsel. And as a individual who works in a small practice with just one other person, this is an opportunity for us to engage with other co-counsel, learn from them, and really benefit from their expertise. Both probably the most rewarding and the most challenging experience has been our COVID litigation. So we've been involved in a lawsuit called Cepeda Rivas, which has now been going on for, probably close to 18 months. We started shortly after the pandemic, and it's, a class action lawsuit that's been challenging detention conditions under COVID. And it was challenging both because of sort of the structure of the lawsuit, the claims being broad, the sort of, we have a really big team. So there were really great benefits to that, but also challenges in just sort of doing all of that. And then in particular, it was even more challenging because, we were also experiencing sort of the effects of COVID, not necessarily because we were getting sick from COVID, but because we were at home, we were with our families, all of us were remote. And so trying to deal with that particular challenge while litigating a very intensive lawsuit to try and, help as many people as we could was particularly difficult. That lawsuit has been particularly rewarding because it's resulted in hundreds of people being released from 2 different facilities run by ICE. And so, one of those facilities has almost nobody left in it who's a ICE detainee, and the other one has been severely reduced in population. And as someone who, spends his time fighting against both the unlawful immigration system, and in particular, the way that non-citizens are incarcerated, this lawsuit has been just really rewarding in what we've been able to accomplish over a period of time, which largely is, the release of lots of people, and then also an improvement in the conditions for those who weren't released. My biggest advice would probably be to sort of just jump in. I think, something that I get asked a fair amount is sort of well, how do you sort of do all of those things? Or how do you take on federal litigation while you're doing your practice? And I think, my answer is usually just sort of, you just sort of jump in. And I think just sort of figuring out and being well connected with, nonprofits in the area that do direct representation and impact litigation, and figuring out ways to collaborate is is the best way to get involved.